Hey guys, Tarke here. I want to do a quick review of the what we're working on post, but also the patch that went out, which did a bunch of nerfs to Delirium League. I've done some mapping on a fresh character. I've leveled a fresh character today from, well, Act 1 to Act 9. I'm just finishing up now, and I did some red maps on my mapping character to see how it felt, both for leveling and also at endgame. I'm going to read through what they changed, and then I'll talk about how I feel about the changes, and then this other stuff, because I do feel a certain way about the nerfs we've had. So starting off the top, one of the big nerfs that happened was paralyzing, wasting, eroding, diluting touch debuffs. These debuffs have been reduced substantially, down to 3 seconds. The reason why this is nice is these debuffs you have no way of really working around, and because the timer is only down to 3 seconds, they don't stack up as much. This is a change I think everyone could get behind. These debuffs didn't feel very fun. It was just one of those things. It was frustrating. Now, in my last video, I played this clip of the guy who was rank 1 in my private league who died to an attack. And there was this whole discussion about, do Delirium monsters do too much damage? Is shotgunning the problem? What's going on? And I'll just play this clip again in case you missed it. So, boom, 5 projectiles, shotgun into a wall, and it was this whole thing about like, oh my god, shotgunning's broken, Delirium's broken. Well, have no fear. They listened, they nerfed the monster. This will never happen again. So if you missed it, he died to 5 hits, which hit him for like 2k each. On a crit and fizz as cold, all the things like shoot into the wall and overlap onto him. They hit this attack with a slight nerf. You see it went down to 5k and then died. Yeah, it now no longer does damage. They nerfed it to 0, which, they listened, Reddit. They listened. I'm really frustrated by some of the nerfs they've done. I think some of the nerfs were great, but I think it's a bit silly to just remove the damage entirely. I feel like they've caved too hard, and now we've gone from something which is too difficult for some to now too easy. They've reduced the difficulty of Delirium monsters at each misstep, so just everything is just easier. They've reduced the chance of Delirium modifiers appearing. That's like the random specters, the apparitions that do attack. That happens way less often. So there's just, the monsters are easier. There's less special attacks from apparitions. A bunch of the monsters just do less damage. Some of the monsters don't even do any damage with their main attacks. They now just do like degens and stuff. The volatiles created by the mortar, so that was like the effects leave on the ground, that got nerfed as well. Double the proximity range which objects spawn, so that's the like spores you run over to spawn mobs. So now they just spawn better. This is a change that I like. The decelerating projectiles that explode fired by spawn can no longer fire multiple projectiles, removing shotgunning so I can get behind. Reduce the chance of malice monsters exploding when they die. Basically, the mechanic, in my opinion, feels incredibly watered down. If you thought it was too difficult, I guess you're happy now, but I seriously think they've overstepped the nerfs. I think they went way too far the other way, and it just feels like free loot and XP from what I've played. Yes, there's the argument that, well, Tarke, if you do a 5-orb tier 16 map, or you do like wave 20 of the Simulacrum, it's still really difficult. They're meant to be really difficult. The whole point of 5-orb tier 16 fully juiced maps is it's meant to be a challenge. If it wasn't a challenge, that would be an issue. But I don't think you should only be challenged at maximum investment. But anyway, this is a change that I really like. This isn't in the game yet. So all of these changes, these were already in. This is all in the game. These changes will be added soon. So whenever you have Breach, Betrayal, Blight, Incursion, Legion, the Delirium Mist will actually pause completely until you finish the encounter. If you run too far away from the encounter, the timer will start again. This is to stop it from people like proccing a Breach and then running away to cheese the timer. So the timer should be a lot more forgiving now if you ever encounter past League content. And if you could defeat a Harby, Metamorph, Bestiary, Red Beast, or Essence, Apprentice Chest or Strongbox, you also pauses the mist, so the timer will be a lot easier now. The End Delirium button isn't in yet, but it will be added in the next patch. They've also completely changed how the rewards work, so if you didn't think it was rewarding enough, it's now a lot more rewarding. It's also much easier because the mobs are a lot easier, and you get more reward the further in the mist you are. So the further you are in the mist, the more reward you get. Also, when you reach 3 tiers of a reward, another bar pops up. And then when you reach 5 rids of reward, a third one pops up. They've also made it far less likely that you'll get the generic weapon, armor, and trinket. So that's the, like, jewelry stuff. So you're going to be getting less of the generic rares, and you're getting way more of, like, div cards, currency orbs, fossils, essences, scarabs, maps, etc. So they've buffed everything. Like, not only do you get more of the good types, you now get like 3 times as much, or twice as much. And you also get way more loot the further you progress. This change, though, this only rewards people who are very good at the mechanic, which it's easier to be good at the mechanic now because you can kill lots of... But if you're someone who's struggling with Delirium, then you won't really notice anything outside of getting less generic weapon and armor trinket types. I'm not against nerfs, and I'm not against buffs, but I do feel like maybe we should have something where they do stuff in stages, rather than all or nothing. Also, Awaken a Fight has been improved. This is good. Awaken a Fight was really bad. Visibility. All the visibility stuff, all the Monster on Death stuff has been improved. They're adding delays to the Monster on Death effects, which should make it much easier. There's also very distinct visuals on each thing, kind of like volatiles having set colors. So this is another case where these changes of changing the Monster on Death effects and improving the visibility, if we had these changes, we may not have needed these nerfs. This very much feels like people were complaining too much. They freaked out because they're like, oh god, everyone hates the game. What can we do? And they've gone as far in the other extreme direction as possible. So, these might have been the right changes, but it would be nice if they spaced them out a bit, because we're not even a full week into the league, and they've completely gutted the difficulty of it. Performance issues, this is good. Performance issues are improving, and they might be adding the depth meter when they can. So yeah. One thing also, in the last patch, they did something to the speed of fogs, so you can actually quite easily outrun fog now, which is a weird thing that maybe they should change. So I noticed this while I was leveling my new character, that I was regularly outrunning the fog. Now, I'm not even playing the fastest build, but you can see that I've outrun the fog. The mechanic ended. So, I don't know how that happened. Now, I'm not a particularly fast character with my flask up and pressing dash and everything. I'm like 101% movement speed. So, that's something to maybe look out for. Maybe undo the slower fog speed. And to show it wasn't a fluke, I'll do it again. Because it's a bit weird. And if it happens to me while... Maybe it's something that only affects leveling. Maybe it doesn't happen in mapping as much, but... If while leveling you're outrunning the mechanic, then you're probably outrunning it in maps as well, especially if you're playing an actually fast character, like a Cosprey's Brill or some crazy Tailwind character or something. So I'm now ahead of it, I'm now caught up with it, I'm now ahead of it, and it's over again. So yeah, it's you couldn't outrun the fog before. And you could be saying, but Tarke, you were trying to outrun the fog. But it's a case of, like, you're just running and trying to kill mobs, you know? And if you're killing mobs outside of the fog, then you don't get any benefit. And obviously, if you outrun the fog, then you don't get any benefit because the mechanic's over. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the fog speed could... Maybe it should travel out faster, but then not dissipate as quickly. So if they wanted it to not... If they wanted to slow down the fog so it wasn't, like, dissipating as quickly, they could just have it so it expands out much faster than dissipates much slower. Maybe it's only a leveling issue, but I just thought I would mention it because it's weird that that's the case. But, yeah. TLDR, I do really like the league. For me personally, it does feel less fun having played it today, from having played it yesterday. Maybe as I go from tier 14 maps into tier 16 maps and I do the crazy orb stuff, I'll get that, like, exhilarating feeling again. But, yeah. Also, I am playing hardcore. I feel like I need to clarify that because when I did my last video where I was talking about how I liked the challenge, a lot of people in the comments saying, Tarke, your opinion doesn't matter because you play softcore. Go back to hardcore, lol. I'm playing hardcore. I have been playing hardcore since last league. But, anyway. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Let me know what you think about these Delirium changes. Are you all yay, all no? Did you want a middle ground? Is this not enough? Is it still too difficult? Let me know. Also, quickly, Bayclast on Saturday, by the way. I will leave a timer down below if you didn't see it. But yes. Bayclast on Saturday. Let me know what you think about the mechanic. Bye-bye.